Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Vanamali Govinda Prabhu ji, Dandavat pranams.
Please accept humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat pranams to all. We welcome all of you for the today's morning program Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Vanamali Govinda Prabhu. And Prabhu will enlighten us on Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 23rd chapter, verses 23 and 24. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Please let me know if am I audible or if there is any disturbance in the background. Venkatraman.
No, Prabhuji, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhakti Bhati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We are discussing from the 4th canto, 23rd chapter. Prthu Maharaj goes back home. Shloka number 22 to 24. Vidhaya krityam radini jalapluta datvodakam bhardurudara karmanam natva divishtham stridasham striparitya viveshavahnim dhyayati bhratrapadav. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Vedanta Srila Prabhupada. Okay, we'll also read the word meaning. Vidhaya, executing. Krityam, the regulative function. Radini, in the water of the river. Jala apluta, taking bath completely. Dattva udakam, offering oblations of water. Bhardu, of her husband. Udara karmanaha, who was so liberal. Natva, offering obeisances. Divisthana, situated in the sky. Three dashan, the 30 million demigods. Three times. Paritya, circumambulating. Vivesha, entered. Vahnin, the fire. Dhyayati, while thinking of. Bhartru, of her husband. Pada, the two lotus feet. Translation.
Krishna Prabhuji, there is a little echo, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'll try to change my position and then we can see whether it is okay or not. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, bro.
Is it better now?
Still little echo is there, Prabhuji. But it is clear, voice is fine, but a bit of echo is there.
Just one. Is it better now, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's better.
Oh. The entrance of a chaste wife into the flame of the fire of her dead husband is known as Sahagamana, which means dying with the husband. This system of Sahagamana had been practiced in Vedic civilization from time immemorial. Even after the British period in India, this practice was rigidly observed, but soon it degraded to the point that even when the wife was not strong enough to enter the fire of her dead husband, the relatives would force her to enter. Thus, this practice had to be stopped. But even today, there are still some solitary cases where a wife will voluntarily enter the fire and die with her husband. Even after 1940, we personally knew of a chaste wife who died in this way. 4.23.23 Vilokyanugatam sadvin Prthum Veera Varam Patim Tushtur Varada Devapatnya Sahasrasaha. After observing this brave act performed by the chaste wife HG, the wife of the great king Prthu, many thousands of the wives of the demigods, along with their husbands, offered prayers to the queen, for they were very much satisfied. 24. Kurvatyah kushuma sharam tasmin mandarashanuni nadatsva amaraturyeshu grinanti sma parasparam. At that time, the demigods were situated on the top of Mandara hill, and all their wives began to shower flowers from the funeral pyre and began to talk among themselves. Yeah. We begin with the prayers. Just close the window and just don't give any disturbance. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। लोकं करोति वाचालं भूं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So I sincerely would like to take the blessings of all my spiritual teachers from whom I have heard the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam, and would like to repeat so that I can do proper justice to this service in Parampara. And I would like to also sincerely seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas online, especially His Grace Narhari Chaitanya Prabhu and all the other senior devotees, so that I can speak for the pleasure of Vaishnavas and my own purification and for the pleasure of the Lordships. So, as the topic which you can see in the purport, Prabhupada is focusing on the sati, sahagamana of the Vedic women, which was very prevalent in the Vedic times and of late till 1940. So obviously not very much qualified to speak on the subject matter of glorification of a Vedic women. However, I tried to heard the lecture of His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj, His Grace Bhima Prabhu, and His Grace Satyadev Prabhu, who is also initiating spiritual master. He visits the Japan Center. From the 3 lectures, some points I could derive and some points which I've heard from my seniors, I would like to share them. So, yes, this topic of Archie, who is a very, very great and dedicated, faithfully serving Prthu Maharaj, who has now entered the funeral pyre of his husband, Prthu Maharaj, has been very nicely appreciated by the demigods here. And in the further verses, we'll see that how the demigods appreciate her qualities as a faithful lady. So the quality and the main characteristic of a glorified wife is her chastity, and that is what is majorly glorified in this concept of sati. But how we can derive some lessons for ourselves also we'll like to discuss. Not only the glorification, we'll first half we'll try to focus on what is this concept of sati and what values are derived from this Vedic woman and which we can worth apply it in our life. And secondly, especially how a faithful subordinate can please his authority in our devotional service scenario, which we would also like to discuss on the second half. So I would like to make my presentation in this way. And yes, we see that nowadays it is so very rare to actually see such a wife or even such a husband who are very much dedicated and faithful to each other in its fullest extent, to the extent that they do not want to even exist when the husband has passed away. Obviously, this system was very much prevalent, and it is explained by the seniors that it is practiced by very advanced devotee or very advanced in the spiritual culture. Not any and everybody can practice this. Only those who are very much faithful can do this. And that is why when of late, when the degradation of the society happened, and the wife did not want to jump inside the funeral pyre voluntarily, sometimes people used to forcefully do this. So this was not a acceptable thing in the recent times, and that is why this word sati got a little negative connotation, that oh, this is not a very good practice. But ideally, the concept is that the wife feels that her existence is completely useless. The separation is unbearable in the absence of the husband, and that is why she wants to jump inside. And it is not considered to be a suicide according to the Vedic terms when it is done in this proper consciousness. So somebody may ask, oh, then what is the difference between suicide and this sati system or sahagavana as mentioned by Srila Prabhupada? But the consciousness matters here. So yes, nowadays the wives, they are also engaging in the occupation, especially both, even devotees, non-devotees. But when it comes to non-devotees, it is completely centered materialistically. That the women also work, the husband also work, and the lady is not allowed to dedicatedly serve the children and the husband. And this concept of housewife is not very much acceptable and well received sometimes in the modern society. You know, one example which Maharaj was citing, that in one of the foreign countries, when one of the lady had some government work to do, and she visited a government officer for some official work. He was noting down her name, address, everything. So he asked, "What is your name?" So she told, "This is my name." Okay, what is your address, etc. Okay, this is my address. And then the point came, "What is your occupation?" Then she told, "I am a housewife." And then the officer became little silent for a while and again asked, "That is okay, but what is your occupation?" And then she told, "I'm a mother. I'm a mother of two child, and that is what I do. I'm a housemaker." Then again the officer told, "No, that is okay, but what is your occupation?" Then this lady got frustrated and she just left from that place. And somehow that work had to be done, and she again visited, and this time another government officer. So she went, and again the same things were being asked. "What is your name?" "This is my name." "What is your what is your address?" "This is my address." And the question when it came, "What is your occupation?" So this time she told, "I am a children development technologist." So although it may appear like a brief joke, but it's a very subtle concept here, that people in the modern scenario, they appreciate such terminologies, but do not appreciate the concept of just a housewife. So that was what I'm trying to emphasize here, that the modern society doesn't appreciate our women or a lady, a mother who is actually serving the children and growing them, especially spiritually, and serving the husband. And this is a very great contribution of a woman in the society. And we see when that doesn't happen, then the children do not get sufficient love, and they are to be kept in babysitting. And then when they grow, they have that lacking of the love which was supposed to be given by mother especially, and because the mothers are also busy earning. So yes, it may not happen every time in every situation, but the tendency increases to decrease our care for the children and dedicatedly serve the husband when even the women end up working. So it is not that even many of our devotee Matajis are working, but they make sure that they give their best when it comes to taking care of the children and the husbands. So obviously the principle has to be understood, and time and place circumstances, the application can be different. But the point majorly what we are trying to understand is that housewife concept is not to be seen in a derogatory way. Rather, it should be seen in the most important way and most important contribution for the society. And this is what we learn also from our scriptures, that how Mother Sita was so much dedicated to Lord Ram when Lord Ram was exiled, and she also decided that what is my use of staying here in the Ayodhya? I will also accompany you in spite of all the anticipated problems in the forest. So such a chaste lady, and when one is so Krishna conscious, it becomes a duty of the husband to take full care of such a chaste wife. And that was being exemplarily shown by Lord Ram. Lord Ram was supreme personality of Godhead, is it not? He could have easily wiped out Ravana the moment he was kidnapping Sita. Why didn't he do that? Just a fraction of a second, and Ravana would have been dead on the spot when he attempted to even kidnap Sita. But Ram did not do that. Or Lord Ram could have manifested thousands of more Sitas if Ravana has kidnapped one. But Lord Ram did not do that. Instead of that, he took all the troubles to go and get back that Sita, who is her chaste wife. So Lord Ram wanted to show to the world that it is a duty of the husband, and also to protect such a lady who is committed, who is dedicated. So when a wife is Krishna conscious, she is Ram conscious, then it becomes the duty of the husband to give her full protection. And even we learn that spiritual master, he also is obliged to a faithful disciple. So the moment the disciple is very committed, dedicated, and faithful, it is written in one of the scriptural injunction that it becomes the responsibility of spiritual master to come back again, in case not himself, then his representative, to take back the disciple who has not completed his journey of going back home, back to Godhead. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked that Prabhupada, should we remain here preaching birth after birth? I do not remember the exact question, but the answer was, Srila Prabhupada told that don't make me come here again. You finish the business in this life. So it is a responsibility of spiritual master to take care of such a committed disciple. So this is what was shown by Lord Ram. And because the concept of sati and sahagamana is coming over here, the very act, one pastime which fits in over here of our Vaishnava Acharya is a Narottam Das Thakura. Narottam Das Thakura, when he visited Vrindavana, and when he saw the dedicated and faithful representative of the Vaishnava Sampradaya in the form of Loknath Goswami, that how great and exalted a personality like him, he completely surrendered himself and wanted to become his disciple. But unfortunately, Loknath Goswami was not initiating any disciples. And then internally, from his heart, he told, no, I want to be his disciple and I want to act like his disciple. And then he started serving him, which is the duty of a disciple. And as we know that he was cleaning the stool when Loknath Goswami used to go from Radha Gokulananda temple to Yamuna without him knowing, and this went for an year. And when he came to know, he told, why are you doing this? Then Narottam Das Thakur told, this is what I'm going to do for entire of my life. I just want to serve you, whether you initiate me or not. So Narottam Das Thakur did not see that, oh, let me choose some another guru who will initiate me, or I will choose whichever is comfortable for me. No, he in principle, he dedicated himself and he followed him as his spiritual master, whether he got diksha or not. So one principle we learn here is, this is the faithful quality of a disciple, of a person, which is so very important for a Vaishnava, which we can learn from this characteristic of a Vedic woman also who becomes sati. And in the same way, Narottam Das Thakur also was completely wanting to dedicate himself in the form of servant. Whether he got diksha or not was secondary for him. So we hear and we sing every day Vando Mui Savadhana Mate in the Narottam Das Thakur's prayer. Then what is the meaning of the word Savadhan here? we have to be very, very careful of this relationship with our Guru. We should deeply understand and feel that there is no other connection and no other hope for our success in Krishna consciousness other than faithfully serving and pleasing our spiritual master. In case we fail in that, then there is no hope. And this is again and again being, we have several pastimes. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was completely wanting once advised by Bhakti Vinod Thakur to take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And instead of very several times he was shown away, and that I will not initiate you, or I will ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, etc. He tested him thoroughly, but he did not give up. Same with Ramanujacharya with Goshti Purna. 17 times, although he was Goshti Purna was one of his spiritual master and not the only one, but when he was advised by one of his gurus that you should go and meet this Goshti Purna, and as we know that 17 times he has gone and he's knocking the door telling, I am Ramanujacharya, but the door doesn't open, and he gets tired and he comes again and asks, if I'm not wrong, I think it is Yamunacharya who had advised him. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But then Yamunacharya tells him, no, you should go. He's there only and you should try to meet him. And third time, fourth time, he's losing his patience. But because Yamunacharya is telling, he's continuing. And finally, he changes his introduction from I am Ramanujacharya to I am the servant of the Lord. And then the door opens. So Goshti Purna was testing his false ego that till the time this I is coming in between, we cannot accept the instructions of the spiritual master. So in this way, we see that our false ego may come time and again in our relationship with Guru and the disciple. But unless we are thoroughly convinced that this is the way for us and not any other way, then we may have some problems in our progress. So this is one example which we wanted to discuss in connection to sati. And then we see that even many times in the journey of a practicing disciple, we again hear in the same song of Narottam Das Thakur, Arna Koriho Mone Asha. We develop various desires in our bhakti, which may not be in conducive in line with our spiritual master. So we should always be in touch with the spiritual master in whatever executions we are doing. I remember once His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, in one of the devotees in Gulf, he had asked the Maharaj, his disciple only, that I am getting a very good salary package in USA. Should I go and shift there? Then Maharaj asked him, are you in real need of money? He told no. Are you satisfied spiritually over here? He told yes. Then there is no need of going to USA. You continue your service here only. So this is one thing which we can take as an example, that we should not try to jump here and there by our own understanding. Rather, such crucial decisions we should take permission of our senior counselor or representative of Guru Maharaj, or directly spiritual master if possible. And sometimes not only grahasthas but even brahmacharis, they jump from one temple to another. So this is not a very good sign unless and until it is very much recommended or blessed by the senior devotees or the spiritual master, and there is a real need for that. One should actually, like one wife is dedicated to her husband, there is no question of divorce. Similarly, the devotee should be connected not only to his spiritual master but even to the temple where he is serving, to the devotees. Unless the situation is very much forcing, or some of them may ask, let me go and stay in Vrindavan and let me serve there for my entire life. But is that allowed by the spiritual master? Is it recommended? Then only one should go ahead in that direction. And sometimes it may become very difficult. Like, okay, in husband and wife scenario, there is no other option for divorce or changing the partner. But what about our temple? Sometimes we are not favorable and we are not very comfortable with authority. So then should we change the authority? So as far as possible, we have to try to please. Urmila Mataji says one very nice thing in this regard, that it may not be possible to please all our authorities, maybe in one temple, all the times. Yeah, because humanly we have some limitations, and we may not be perfect from both subordinate side and authority side. But we have to try our best, and we should not be in that maniac zone that, oh, I'm not able to please my authority, my life is finished, and that is all. No, obviously we have to please our authorities. However, we have to try our best. And in this regard, I heard one nice example from His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, that one of the vehicle department in charge, he was trying to facilitate the devotees of the temple with vehicles. And one of the devotees asked that, I want a vehicle at 5:15 to go to railway station. So at the same time, all the vehicles were busy, and only one vehicle was supposed to come back at 6 o'clock. So he told that 6 o'clock is okay. Then this devotee told, no, I have to go at 5:15. So then this devotee called back, and he requested this devotee who had taken the vehicle and was supposed to come at 6, that, okay, can you come at 5:30 or 5:15, because this one devotee has to go at the railway station. Then he told, okay, I will try to come at 5:15 if possible, or 5:30 it may become. Then he told, okay, the vehicle department devotee told this devotee that one vehicle might come, but he may be little late. We will be ready with some other options. So this devotee told, okay, if he comes, fine. Otherwise, I will take a private vehicle or this public vehicle and go. So the time became 5:15, and this vehicle did not come. And this person started with the vehicle, and he had to go to the station. So he started, and he had to come back also. Not only just go to railway station to outside. So 5:15 he started, and this vehicle, by the time it came, it became some 5:25 or 5:30. And then this vehicle department in charge, he personally took the vehicle and went through this railway station and did not only the work whatever he had, but other things also. And he tried his best. Basically, the point is, he tried his best to please that person. So this should be our attitude in pleasing our authorities. To the maximum possible extent, we try, without becoming completely bogged down by the concept that, oh, I could not please. Just focus on the efforts and please and do our best. So that is in essence what is required from a subordinate point of view. And that is what being we can also learn from this aspect. The husband is and the wife relationship. The wife needs to be completely dedicated to the pleasure of the husband. Especially in the, we will discuss about Devahuti and the Gardamuni section. Prabhupada very nicely describes about the relationship between a husband and a wife. That how she should not only be like an intimate friend to the husband, but also she should know that the husband's position is always superior, and she is meant to serve and please the husband, even if sometimes the husband may be wrong and the husband may be technically he has done some mistake, but the wife should always be in the favor of the husband. Sometimes some subordinates ask a question that, no, I have seen that the authority has not fared well in his decision making a couple of times, and now I have to speak and probably go against his advice or whatever his opinions are. So in this regard also it is said that even though the authority may give a wrong decision, technically speaking, not by a wrong intention, but technically may not be correct, and the subordinate may have a better option, technically speaking, but still it is advisable that the subordinate goes with the idea of authority. Why? Some of them may say, no, we should, the authority should hear him. Yeah, ideal authority should hear and he will hear, but I'm talking from the subordinate point of view. The subordinate should humbly agree his decision. And why he should agree, even though the, let us say, not wrong decision, but it will be efficiency term lesser. Like the idea of subordinate will give 120% results, and the idea of an authority is giving only 80% results. So should authority subordinate be stubborn? No, my way is the highway. No, he can go ahead with that 80% efficiency result option, and still maintain good relationship with the authority, because good relationship maintained is very effective for long term basis. Just trying to go against for a couple of times, he has will not serve the purpose. The authority may feel that, oh, Abhi, you are becoming senior, or he will feel not very good for such a subordinate's behavior. So from a subordinate point of view, we should always try to be submissive in all the circumstances as possible, unless the situation is completely, when the authority is completely unreasonable and all, which is very rare to see. But in such situations, we can escalate it to our higher authorities. But even when such 80-120 example I give, because it may happen practically. So in that time also, to maintain good relation, we can go ahead with that less efficient idea of authority. This is what is essentially showing a subordinate and submissive nature of a subordinate to his authority, or a husband to her wife to husband. And also the Archie's behavior here, she is not forcefully putting herself in the funeral pyre. She is voluntarily putting herself in the funeral pyre. Nobody has forced her to become a sati or do this sahagamana. So one more principle we learn here is that we have to do devotional service lovingly, not grudgingly. We have to, as the Bhagavad Gita shloka tells, Tesham satata yuktana bhajatam priti purvakam. So two adjectives are there by Krishna. One is satata and then priti. Unless we don't continue strenuously, day after day, month after month, year after year, to keep giving efforts without giving up, and priti purvakam, not grudgingly. I'm supposed to do this. My authority has told this me to do. Not like that. Priti purvakam, lovingly. Then dadami buddhi yogam tam ena mamapayati. Then Krishna will give us intelligence in our heart. So similarly, we have to understand that this behavior of Arti was voluntarily, and if we also do voluntary loving devotional service, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. And sometimes when we see that we do not express, these grudges may remain in our heart. Especially, it is the nature of a man to not express and keep things in the heart. Generally, a woman nature is to express it. She doesn't keep in her heart. But the man may keep grudges, or he may keep some ill feelings in his heart, and it may happen. So what is the problem? Maharaj was explaining that sometimes if we do not express it in a proper way, then it may affect our body consciousness, etc. And it may later come out in an ugly way. So we don't want this to happen either, in the form of falling into bad habits or watching out TV, etc. Somewhere the anger or the grief or the sadness has to vent out. And if we don't vent it out in a proper way, then it will vent out in a wrong way. So why I'm telling this point? Because Archie, when she lost her husband, was she not feeling bad? She was feeling bad. She was grief stricken. But she's an exalted devotee. She did not hide that feeling. She expressed that feeling. But the difference between a conditioned soul and an elevated soul like Archie is that she did not get attached to that grief stricken feeling. Rather, she knew that these griefs will come. The nature of material world is to time and again attack with such emotions. But like a cloud which comes and it goes, like that she allowed that emotion to come and pass away, rather getting attached to it. Similarly, we need to practice that we don't have to get attached and fixed up to such griefs or emotions or whatever. It may come in management, it may come in our relationships. We have to identify that we are undergoing such emotions. At the same time, we should have a good friend. Sometimes we cannot express everything to our every devotee. We should have some very intimate devotee, one superior and one equal. There may be very confidential things which sometimes even they cannot be expressed between husband and wife. Then the husband can take some advice from other grahastha devotee who can help him, or a brahmachari can take advice from another brahmachari, because sometimes we are not able to express everything to our spiritual master, everything to our shiksha guru, but we should have one very good relationship, and ideally one above and one equal. So this will protect us from such emotional turmoils which may be going through in our life, and which will not succumb us in going in a wrong direction. And in this regard, I got a very good input from His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj recently when he came to ICC. In my personal talk with him, when I was sharing with him that if I have a difficulty in a relationship with a devotee, how can I overcome that? So let us say, for example, that this sadhana is not good. So, but I don't have a good relation either to say that. Then how should I? And I just keep quiet. Then what will happen? The relationship will never grow. So Maharaj told you have to express it, but not in a very direct way that yeah, your sadhana is bad and you have to improve. I don't feel good about your sadhana. This will be very blunt. Rather, telling that his sadhana is bad, etc. You have to tell what is your understanding. Prabhuji, I feel that probably you are not able to get up for morning program, etc. Whatever may be the details, but we have to term it. It is my feeling. It is, or let us say he has spoken some words which has hurted us. Then we can express instead of telling that you are a very rude fellow, we can tell that okay, when you spoke like this, I felt like this. So there can be no ambiguity in this. When we present our feeling, then the relationship will also improve and the other person will also not feel bad. So this is how we can express our way and not dump those thoughts in our heart and affect ourselves, and at the same time make an attempt to grow the relationship. And there will be some extent limitations in all the relationships, but whatever best we can try in this way. So this point was very helpful to me, and I'm practicing it, and it is helping me that I'm trying to present my thoughts in a very sensitive way to people, and my relationship, the gap bridges a bit kind. So this was very helpful to me. And then lastly, we wanted to share about Devhuti and Kardama Muni, that how she was so dedicated and she was very much and almost some points I already shared that Prabhupada glorifies the Devhuti's character, and then he brings out that how she should be very loyal as a wife to her husband. So there are many other stories also where one of the story I am recollecting is that one wife, she is so chaste to his husband that even the husband has a desire to unite with a prostitute. She is going and serving that prostitute to make her request that my husband wants to associate, please allow. So seeing this, the prostitute melts her heart. Her hearts get melted that such a chaste lady is this. So the point is not that okay, this should be done or practiced literally, but the point is that how one should be committed to the husband or how a subordinate should be committed to the authority. We see that Yamuna Mataji, when she was in a train and Prabhupada requested for her a very hot steaming rice, fresh rice, and there was no provision for her to do. She ended up asking the ticket master, the head of the person who was traveling the train, that I want to use the pantry. And when he refused, she told that I will jump out. So then he allowed. And we see the dedication of Yamuna Mataji. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada, for his spiritual master, for printing books, he had to be fasting. He was not taking breakfast and using all the money for printing books. And seeing this, the heart of many people melted. So when we see that we are dedicated and committed and faithful to our seniors and the wife to the husband, etc., so we feel that the others get inspired and the feeling it gets transmitted. So it surely affects to others, and in this way also it can attract many people to Krishna consciousness. So with this, I stop here, and I just like to revise whatever we discussed today, and then we will open for discussions and some corrections. So first we described that how currently this nature of committed wife, faithful wife, who can forego herself along with the passing of the husband is very rare nowadays. And the concept of housewife is sometimes seen in a derogatory way in the modern world, but actually it is not so. And it is a very great contribution from the women's side to the society to bring up the children. And we discussed Lord Ram and Sita's dedication to each other. Sita wanting to go with Ram, Lord Ram doing anything, ready to do anything to get back Sita. So it shows that how a husband becomes obliged and is responsible to be protecting to such a Krishna conscious wife. And then we saw the spiritual master is also obliged to such a disciple who is very sincere and faithful to come back and deliver him in case he has not completed his journey, either he himself or through his representative. And then we saw about Narottam Das Thakur's that he did not choose to change his aspiring spiritual master just because he was not giving initiation. Rather, he stuck in his service attitude in essence by deciding to serve him whole life, even though he doesn't give the diksha. And then we discussed about how the relationship between Kardama Muni and Devahuti also teaches us many lessons about the husband and wife relationship, and also how a subordinate should be towards his superior authorities. He should be dedicated, even though sometimes the authority may be apparently less efficient or technically wrong, but in essence, he should be submissive to him. So these characteristics are also glorified by demigods. In the following verse, it will come that the demigods are glorifying Archie's dedicated service to the husband. And then we saw that how Archie's grief was also there when Prthu Maharaj passed away, but that is not to be seen as a material emotion, rather a spiritual emotion, which is not disturbing her from her duty, and she is not hiding that also. So even pure devotees may go through emotions, not that they don't go through emotions, but they keep it spiritual. They don't get carried away materially by those emotions. And especially when we don't express that, we discussed how the man tends not to express and keep in the heart, but the women generally do. But it can lead to problems if it is not expressed. And how to get went out from that hidden griefs are having a good relationship in our devotee, equal devotee or a superior devotee. I forgot to mention the point of God sisters and God brothers. So our actually relationship with our God sisters and God brothers should be more thicker than our material sisters and material brothers, because these are our brothers and sisters eternally. It is a relationship even after going to spiritual world. So there may be some discrepancies in our interactions, but overall we should always give much more priority to our this relationship, spiritual relationship, than the material blood relationship. And then we also discussed about Ramanujacharya, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, dedication to surrender and go and learn from their spiritual masters, even though they were tested thoroughly. One should not give up. And then we saw that how one, instead of jumping from one temple to another, the devotee should stick on to the temple also. Like we stick on to our spiritual master for after initiation, like that we should be dedicated to our ISKCON center, to our Srila Prabhupada, to our immediate authorities from whom we have learned so many things. And that will be a very nice gesture and reciprocation to whatever we have received from them. So that is what we discussed. And at last, I think we discussed about that example of vehicle department, that yes, we may not be able to serve all our authorities and fully to the fullest 100% capacity. Sometimes we may fall short, but instead of becoming too much bogged down with that concept, but we should just try our best. Pleasing the authorities must, and we may sometimes fall short, but we keep trying our best to whatever capacity we have, and Krishna will appreciate our sincerity. So, in essence, that is what. And yeah, and lastly, Bhakti Vigyan Goswami Maharaj advised of how to express in a proper way, rather than pointing out the problem. We just express our feeling that this is what my feeling was, which will help us to bridge our relationships. So, with this, I pause here and open for discussion or question answers. Please correct me wherever I have gone wrong in my presentation. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class and at the end, nice summary. Like today, that got stuck me was like we need to the advice given by the His Holiness Bhakti Vignan Goswami Maharaj. Like we need to express our feelings, not to keep inside and not to saying that okay, this is the problem in the others. Thank you, Prabhuji. And devotees can unmute and ask any questions. Any comments? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Prama.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, I think as you rightly said, the situation which you explained about the lady's occupation. Similarly, I sometimes face when I ask the lady patient, what's your profession? They feel shy and they tell, oh, we are after all housewife. I tell them, no, housewife is like a complete responsibility. You have to do so many things. It is not just, suppose your husband employs one for cooking, one for housekeeping, a lot of money. That's your salary. And about sati, I was just thinking, Prabhu, what sati which happened at that time, it is so much different from the situations now. Whenever we discuss with our spiritual master, whatever he tells, he says, apply it to the current day. You can't be like what it was those days.
Right.
You have to change, according to the situation. I don't know if I am.
Perfect, Mataji. I fully resonate with your feeling, and that is why I also shared that about subordinate authority relationship. That probably we can apply that in this regard. We do in the current day scenarios, probably it will be not practical to tell the devotee Mataji that you will become sati when the husband leaves. But the essential principle, what I am learning here is, as even Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj told, that how Narottam Das Thakur was dedicated. So we can become in spirit to our movement, ISKCON, our authorities, to our temple. And obviously the Mataji, one thing what I have heard, one question when came, that what to do when a devotee husband passes away and the devotee Mataji, the devotee wife, doesn't have a son to take care also. Then in that case, the more practical and more real.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think your voice is breaking.
Yeah, Prabhu. Oh.
I think Prabhu will join back just in a minute.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, some network issue happened suddenly. I was locked out.
Thanks for the class, Prabhu. You were saying something, I think. I don't know if you want to complete that thought.
That's all, Guruji. I just
Okay.
logged in. Hare Krishna. Please tell
Yeah,
me.
I just wanted to express my gratitude. Nice class. You brought up very nice points, very relevant to reflect and apply. From the beginning, one thing about, I think you used some terminology that with regard to the homemaker. So it is very practical thing, because today everybody, we are grown up thinking, feeling in English. So when we say something that very nice in English, people will connect. Even in India, it has become like that, unfortunately. But I'd heard one from Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj, is Bhakti Tirth Maharaj disciple, sannyas disciple of Jayaprakash Maharaj. He's multiple PhDs, and his main objective presenting Prabhupada's teachings in this language to the scientific community, and also to the organizations and all these big corporations. So I was just remembering that he told, he presents mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, as advanced sonic therapy. So he never says mantra or meditation. He says it's advanced sonic therapy for the complete the holistic development of the individual, something like that. So so I just remembered that, wanted to share. And also a very nice point about the position of women and importance in the society and community and home. I think this is very relevant for our present day ISKCON, because more and more we are seeing the home units are increase. Grasta community is increasing in this phase of ISKCON's growth. So it's nice. I very vividly remember once when Gaurang Prabhu came to our temple. After a lot of discussions, some devotee asked, "So, what is your parting guidance for our temple?" I mean, just some words of advice. He told just two things: you take care of children, take care of women in your community.
Correct.
So I was very surprised, but I felt how relevant the leaders are to our current times in ISKCON. So even coming from I mean, for me, externally brahmachari, but he knows the pulse, right? We are fortunate to have that in ISKCON. We are seeing that difference also in how we are addressing. So nice that you brought up this point, and hopefully we can apply that in our own lives. Family unit is the basic unit, and we can see just people appreciate some stable families, because unfortunately societies, if you see in the West, and it can happen in India also, there's so much instability in the basic unit. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I just wanted to share these thoughts, and also the other points about Maharaj, Bhakti Vignan Maharaj, and the mood of dealing with authority and accepting some differences in expectations, and for the larger cause of keeping that the relationship as well as the larger picture for as a community. So it was very nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Venugopal, who nicely brought out the points of that sonic therapy. Even I also was remembering that sometimes we don't tell prasad, but we tell sanctified lacto-vegetarian diet. So people sometimes appreciate that more. So if we just connect to people in such a way, and then over a period of time they will become more familiar and have more faith. Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji. And also that personally, I was feeling that we do a lot of youth preaching, and the boys become trained, but sometimes they don't get a proper partner, and that is why also it has problem in the relationships. So in Pune, they are doing this girls' voice preaching also, and here some Matajis and one Grahastha couple has taken this. Ahead, because when we do online classes, so we cannot stop girls from coming, we have to be open, we cannot tell only for boys, it may look fanatic. So and then when they come, they some of them are very inspired to continue, but we cannot cater them if there is nobody to take care. So that one aspect, when it is done, then it will give a overall growth to our community. Thank you, Venugopal Prabhu, for your valuable inputs. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, when you were saying about one Mataji asking the Maharaj about what is the, what to do if the husband, the devotee husband passes away. After that, we could not hear your voice.
Okay, in that regard, Maharaj was telling that not Maharaj, I don't remember who, but they told that that is why we have a devotee community. So let us say that Mataji doesn't have an elderly child to take care of, then where she will take shelter? So and then getting again married is not a good option. So in our devotee community, she can be taken care of, and that is how we can see that she can remain focused on serving Guru and Krishna rather than again having another. But there may be some factors which I may not be aware of or may have to be considered. But in general, he was telling that even though a Mataji may not have elderly son and lost her husband, she can be taken care by the devotee community, and that is acceptable solution. So one of the solutions I was remembering and thought it was relevant to share here.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Any other devotees can unmute and ask. Prasad Krishna Prabhu, I think you unmuted earlier. You wanted to ask something. I think there are no more Krishna Prabhuji. I think everybody is much clear.
Yes, we'll end here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Please forgive me if something spoken which will not be spoken. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, once again.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Devotees for your active